Hi, everybody. Today we're going to be looking at organic compounds and carbon compounds. If you're looking in your book again, chapter 3, so you can see this one is from section 1. So first off, you need a definition for organic compounds. And organic compounds are carbon atoms. It's compounds that contain carbon atoms. These are really important. Again, we're kind of talking about things that are really important for living things to survive. And we're going to go through 4 different organic compounds that are important for living things here on Earth. So basically, these carbon compounds or carbon atoms form bonds with either each other carbon atoms, or with other elements like nitrogen, hydrogen, and oxygen for living things. The type of bond is a covalent bond. Again, you're not really going to need to know that for this class, but as you move on in chemistry or things like that, you'll talk about that more. That is when bonds are shared, electrons are shared. Carbon is really unique. It has 4 outer electrons, so it wants to get 4 more electrons. So it'll bond with either 4 other atoms, and you can see that here, where carbon bonds here, 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 and here. So that's 4 other bonds that it's created there. Or it can make double or triple bonds. I have a picture here with double bonds, and so you can see between carbon and carbon, there's a double bond there of sharing. So it's really unique. It allows it to make ring-shaped structures, straight structures, and just really have a lot of unique shapes for all the different molecules it needs to make for living things. So we have a couple other terms here when carbon molecules or organic molecules bond together. Monomers are small molecules. So you can see up here in the picture, we use Lego pictures here for it. And it'd be like these little 2 by 2 structures of Legos. And those are individual monomers. Polymers are made up of many monomers. So we have 3 here stuck together. That would be considered a polymer. And then as we get larger here, we could have macromolecules. So those are really large polymers that have linked up a whole bunch of monomers. You can see that also in the picture down below if that helps you. So just kind of imagine little Lego pieces getting stuck together. Well, we do have a process of building monomers and breaking apart polymers. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this. There's a lot of chemistry that kind of goes into this. But I just wanted to show this to you so you've seen it, especially if you're interested in chemistry, you can kind of get an idea of what's going on here. So if we wanted to take these 2 individual monomers and link them together, the basics of what happens is we actually remove a water molecule. So we have an OH here and we have an H here, and they bond together and produce this water molecule. It's called dehydration synthesis because if you dehydrate something, you remove water, or there's less water. So it's called dehydration. We remove water, and then that leads this empty link here, and it really wants to link up. These 2 molecules aren't happy, so they will link up and they create a polymer. If we wanted to break apart that polymer, since we removed a water molecule before, we're actually going to add a water molecule. And when it adds that water molecule, it breaks the bond and puts that OH back in and that H back in. Again, this is something that you can kind of look over. I'll post another video link for you in Classroom of a description of what happens. You can see it here. If you happen to go to just the plain PowerPoint, you can click on that and kind of watch that video, or I'll post it in Classroom with it. Next, we're going to look at the 4 compounds for living things. The first is carbohydrates. The second is proteins. The third is lipids, and the fourth is nucleic acids. So if you're using the notes packet, you have some places you can write some stuff, and you also have some pictures that are available. So first, the monomers of each of these. Monomers are that small to form, think one tiny little Lego piece that's not connected to anything else. So carbohydrates are monosaccharides. Sometimes you'll see this word saccharin or saccharide. That's in things that's kind of a sugar to make you think of that. Proteins, the monomer are amino acids. There's 20 different amino acids, and we'll get to another chapter where we talk about what those amino acids are. Lipids are fatty acids. So lipid means fat, if that helps you to remember fatty acids. Nucleic acids are nucleotides, and these help make DNA and RNA. Now, the way we make macromolecules from all of these monomers is that process called condensation reaction or dehydration synthesis. So I had mentioned it as dehydration synthesis on the last slide. Condensation, hopefully that helps you think of water as well. Condensation forms on the outside of maybe a glass of water or something like that. So water is being removed or seems to be removed from the air when it collects on the side of a glass. And you can use either term for that if you needed it. So here's some pictures of monomers. If you're using the notes packet that I've given you in class, you will see these same pictures, and you can kind of go from there. Examples of each macromolecule. So carbohydrates create simple sugars are the simplest form. Those are the monomers. And then complex sugars are things like starches and cellulose. So starch themselves would be things, the ways we store extra carbohydrates, or maybe when you eat pasta or potatoes, you would think of starches. Cellulose is a long chain as well, but it's often stored in plants. So the cellulose is, think of celery, might help you to remember it, kind of crunchy. It's the way that carbohydrates are stored in many plants. Fats, some examples are steroids. So in our bodies, estrogen, testosterone are examples of fats. And then think of waxes. So if you have a dog whose hair kind of the water beads up on their hair, this would be an example of a fat layer that's over those hairs. And then proteins, skin, hair, nails, enzymes. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about enzymes in another video. And then nucleic acids, they make up DNA and RNA. We'll spend a lot of time on that in future chapters as well. So if you're using the notes packet, you have this picture in here as well. It kind of gives you a little summary of where everything falls. We have these 4 carbon compounds: carbohydrates, lipids, nucleic acids, and proteins. And then it gives you kind of what those consist of, and then what elements are in each of those. So carbohydrates have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Lipids also have carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, but they're formed a little differently. Nucleic acids add in nitrogen and phosphorus, and then proteins have nitrogen as well as the carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And one other little thing here that is important for living things is ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. You don't necessarily have to be able to write that out, but if you see the letters ATP, know that that means energy. We will talk about this in a lot of future chapters as we go through the semester. Basically, all of life's functions require energy. We talked about being able to use energy or metabolism as one of the characteristics of life. So that comes down to this molecule called ATP. And if you look at this picture here, we see, say, this person here needs to eat some food to get some energy. Maybe you felt that way before. What happens is ATP has triphosphate. These are little phosphates, 3 phosphates attached. And so that's like having a charged battery. An uncharged battery is called ADP, and it has 2 phosphates, not charged though. So if you stick it back in the charger, or in this case, you add another phosphate, we end up with our charged battery. That's where we'll end today, and we'll continue with an enzyme video next time.